Hey, my friends, welcome back to Body Led by Design. We are on week 2 of the weight loss resistance series. Last week, I talked all about who this typically happens to, how to know if this is like your actual picture right now. And today, we're going into what are the root causes as to why weight loss resistance happens. Because weight loss resistance isn't the actual problem, it's just a symptom of something going on underneath that we want to investigate. And next week, we're going to go into labs and how I use labs in my practice, what labs you should ask for from your doctor or whoever you're working with for more insight. I also do offer labs inside of my practice for this very reason. And so that basically we can find really efficient ways to work around weight loss resistance because it can be kind of a long games situation. And I feel like labs really accelerate the amount of time we spend in the healing phase because we just find out really what's actually going on versus spending time guessing. So today we're going deeper into the actual root causes of weight loss resistance, what's happening inside of your body, what makes fat loss feel impossible no matter what you do. And everything I'm going to talk about today is going to always come back to one word, one concept. And that one word is safety. So keep that word in the back of your mind as we work through all of this, because all the roads lead back to the perception of safety inside of your body. Because when your body doesn't feel safe, it's simply going to conserve energy. That is its job. I don't feel safe. I don't trust. I'm going to conserve energy. And what that conservation looks like is your metabolism slowing down. Your energy will decrease. Your hormones will start to lower. Your digestion may become slow and sluggish. And then nutrient absorption also becomes very poor when your digestion isn't working very well. And then your mind and your nervous system both reinforce that perception of threat. Something is wrong. I need to hold on to everything. We can't afford to let anything go. And the result of that is that your body simply cannot shift into fat burning mode. That's the hard stop there. I don't feel safe. I'm not going to shift into fat burning. I'm going to hold on to all of the body fat that is here and also everything that comes in the form of food and energy and calories. And I'm going to store it as stored energy as well, because it doesn't know when the next safe moment is. And it's preparing for a threat that it thinks is actually real. And so the other thing too is like we can think like with common sense, I'm not actually in danger. I'm totally safe. I have everything I need. I have a job. I have a home. My life is safe. Why does my body not perceive that? Well, one of the biggest reasons is because there's not enough food coming in. Because think about how our ancestors used to eat. They used to eat a whole food diet. They ate when they were hungry. They stopped when they were full. And when their food sources went away, their body went into burning a low amount of energy to keep them safe through famines, through war, through not having access to resources. And remember, your body only looks at food as a resource. So if we stop giving it resources, it goes into exactly how our ancestors were able to stay alive for centuries, not having enough access to food. So you could be eating clean, you can be working out consistently, you could be incredibly disciplined, and it could not work. Not because you're like doing it wrong or you're trying to sabotage yourself, but because your body has a very different priority. That priority is survival. It's your body not working against you. This is a beautiful physiological thing built in to keep us alive. It's how we are still here in this day and age. So let's talk first about the hormonal picture and what happens in weight loss resistance with your hormones. So I want to talk first about your stress hormones, specifically two. We're going to go with DHEA and we're going to go with cortisol. So DHEA and cortisol are produced from your adrenal glands. And your adrenal glands are these tiny glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they produce stress hormones when there is the perception of stress inside of your body. DHEA will start to go low when your body is in conservation mode or when your body perceives there's not enough energy coming in. And because DHEA production costs energy. So it costs your body a lot of energy to create DHEA, because then DHEA also goes out and it creates testosterone and it creates estrogen. And your body's like, we don't want to produce those hormones right now because we're not safe. We need to tell her to lower her energy, which is why when you have low testosterone, you tend to feel very tired and sluggish. And also to lower estrogen because we don't want to stimulate some sort of ovulation to happen because then she could end up with a pregnancy. And we don't perceive that there's enough energy here to create another human and to maintain another human. So we're going to keep hormone production very low, specifically lower DHEA. So it pulls that back, and what you'll feel is fatigue, low libido, and just that overall flat feeling. DHEA is like your vitality hormone. It's your get up and go hormone. And you feel great when you have enough of it. But when you don't have enough of it, you're just going to feel that very low, sluggish feeling like you're dragging your feet through mud every single day. And then cortisol is going to act very similar. And we're all familiar with cortisol. We want to have cortisol at the right amounts at the right times of day. But most people don't realize that dysregulated cortisol doesn't always mean high cortisol. It can be high. It also can be low. It can also be produced at the wrong times of day. This often happens when your body is in conservation mode. It's either lowering the production of cortisol or it's producing it at the wrong time of day. And this is often why we can feel so tired during the day. And then at night, we simply can't sleep. We're tossing and we're turning. And when we're tossing and turning all night, we're not recovering. And when we're not recovering, your body does not feel safe. It's not going to give you energy then to get up and go the next day. It's going to keep you really low, humming in the background, just trying to get through the day. All of these things on the physiological level are going to make fat loss harder, but also on a psychological level, everything feels so hard, right? The things that you need to do to create weight loss to happen, get up and do your workout, do your meal prep, manage your stress, go for a walk. Those things feel incredibly hard because your body is trying so hard to get you to do less. So not only are you put into a position where it's actually really harder to actually do, but also it's harder to actually be able to do the things because you don't actually have energy to do what you need to do. So it's like a catch-22, which one comes first? It doesn't really matter, but we do know that we need to make sure that the body has the perception of enough energy in the body so it simply feels safe. Once the body feels safe, the body does what you want it to do. Now, the other part of this hormonal picture that can come in and create another issue with weight loss resistance is that when we are not ovulating because our body is like, whoa, we don't want to have a pregnancy. There's not enough energy here to maintain a pregnancy. I also don't care if you want a pregnancy or not. That's your body's job, is to create humans as a woman. And so when it's not producing an ovulation, it's also not producing progesterone because ovulation is how we create progesterone. So when we're not ovulating, we don't have progesterone. If we don't have progesterone, we're not offsetting estrogen. And then we have an estrogen dominant type of picture where there's too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. And when we have too much estrogen, this is going to drive painful and heavy periods, breast tenderness, mood swings, especially difficult that week before your cycle starts where everything feels loud and amplified. And you're like, oh, this is horrible. I don't even want to be around myself. My mood is off, my brain fog, my sleep is off, everything is connected. And so your body's doing everything it can to conserve energy. It's trying to keep you on the couch, and it makes everything that you need to do much harder. But then we also have estrogen dominance in the picture, and estrogen grows things. So estrogen grows your uterine lining to prepare for a pregnancy, but it also grows body fat. So if we have a hormonal imbalance because our body doesn't perceive it's safe, it's not going to produce an ovulation, we're not going to get progesterone to offset estrogen, then estrogen's going to go in and make it even harder to be able to lose weight. So these are the things that are going on a hormonal level as to why weight loss resistance becomes an issue. And remember, we're always driving this back to the body doesn't feel safe, right? So we can't force an ovulation. We can't force cortisol to be regulated. We can't force DHEA to be produced, but we can give the body signals of safety through nutrition, through stress management. Okay, so the next part I want to go into is muscle and digestion. And you may be thinking, what do these two have anything to do with each other? Well, muscle is metabolically expensive. It costs your body a lot of energy to maintain and to build muscle. And when your body perceives that it's in an energy deficit, there's not enough energy coming in, so now it doesn't feel safe, And when chronic stress creates even more of that unsafe feeling, it's going to go after muscle first. It's like, hey, I need fuel and I don't feel safe. And this thing over here is very expensive. We're going to use this for energy to offset some of this energy deficit issue. It's like when you're looking at your budget and your bank account and you're like, there's a ton of money going over here to this subscription and we don't really use it a whole lot. We're definitely going to get rid of this. And then that's going to balance our money in and our money out. That's exactly what your body does too. It's like that muscle is super expensive. We don't actually need it to live and thrive. Well, you do need it to thrive. We don't actually need it to live and survive. I'm going to use that instead. So it's going to burn muscle before it burns body fat. And then your metabolism is going to go down with it, right? Because your muscle is what keeps your metabolism up and running efficiently. And this is why when I can see women, they're going to the gym or they're getting their workouts done consistently, and yet they're still losing muscle. It's often because the workout isn't necessarily the problem. It's the internal environment of the body that is the problem. So now let's connect this to digestion, because most people think that a gut issue is a separate thing from weight loss resistance. It is not. I will often say your gut is usually ground zero for weight loss resistance, because more often than not, I see gut dysfunction happen before I see hormones happen. Or sometimes somebody will come to me and they perceive they have a hormonal issue because Instagram loves to tell them that. Or it seems like it's the most obvious thing is that it has to be my hormones. But many times there's an underlying gut issue. And when we fix the gut, the hormones naturally balance. But I want to create this picture for you when we're talking about your muscle compared to your digestive lining. Your muscle and your digestive lining are very similar tissue. So if your body is going after muscle because it perceives it to be metabolically expensive, it's also going to go after your gut lining. And then what we end up to do is we end up opening up the junctions of the gut lining and we create something called a leaky gut. And that simply means that the food that is going into your belly, so I'm eating a banana, it goes into my belly, and then those banana particles, as they get digested, are leaking outside of your gut wall. And then outside of your gut wall, that's a sterile environment. There should not be banana floating out in that sterile environment. And that's what then creates your bloating, your gas, your slow motility, your reflux, your food sensitivities, because your immune system is going after the banana. It's like, this is bad. There shouldn't be banana here. And it's because the body doesn't perceive it's safe. It doesn't perceive there's enough food coming in. It's now dysregulating your hormones. It's now going after things that are metabolically expensive and breaking it down and using that for fuel. All because the body doesn't feel safe, because there's not enough energy coming in to give your body that perception of safety. Okay, so reason number 3, blood sugar and insulin. So blood sugar. What actually happens when you are chronically skipping breakfast, even though I know you're not hungry? You maybe work through lunch because you're so busy and you wonder why your body wouldn't just burn body fat because you're not feeding it, right? What is it actually living off of? Because when you eat too little or when you skip meals, what happens is your blood sugar drops and your body recognizes low blood sugar as a threat. It's a big stressor. It's a huge emergency for your body, actually. So what it does is it sends out cortisol to go find sugar stored inside of your body to bring your blood sugar back up. And then that process will spike your blood sugar rapidly, almost like you ate a bag of candy, even though you ate nothing. And that spike signals your body that there's a lot of sugar here. Then insulin comes in and moves that sugar into your cells. Now, insulin moves sugar into the cells for energy, but many times what happens from this blood sugar spike, because of stress, because of cortisol, because you skipped a meal, it can't use all of that energy right now. So then it stores the rest as body fat. And in this cycle, eat too little, blood sugar drops, cortisol spikes back up, insulin stores excess fat. It repeats it over and over and over again every time you undereat and you don't give your body what it actually needs. Here's the thing, you're creating blood sugar spikes without ever actually eating food. It's like a double whammy, right? You're still storing body fat. You're still not burning energy, all because you're running on stress hormones instead of actual nutrients. You may as well just eat the meal, right? Because then at least If you get a blood sugar spike, at least you're getting nutrients, at least you're getting calories, at least you're sending the signal to your body that there's some food here. Okay, number 4, the nervous system. I want to talk about this because many times I'm talking to women and they perceive I'm not that stressed. My life really isn't that different than anybody else. Or I'm stressed, but I think I manage it well. It's fine. I don't have anything major going on right now. But here's what your nervous system is actually seeing, because your nervous system isn't taking English language from your mouth saying, I'm not stressed and believing you. Your nervous system is running in the background, constantly scanning for threats. And what it sees is that you do not have enough nutrients on board. It assumes that you don't have access to food. It puts your body in a low energy mode, slows the metabolism, goes after muscle because it's expensive, and it just does not care about losing weight. It just cares about keeping you alive. It is doing its job perfectly. It's just in a response to an environment that many times you didn't realize that you were creating. And when you say I'm not that stressed, I want to gently ask you, compared to what? Because I think a lot of us are comparing ourselves to people around us. Susie has the same kind of life as me. Susie seems fine. I'm just going to compare myself to her, but there's no reason I should feel stressed. But here's the truth. Susie's stressed too, and she's also comparing herself to you. And everyone's trying to convince themselves that they're not that stressed. And I'm not saying you should walk around saying, I'm so stressed, because that's not helpful. But what I am saying is, like, let's give our nervous system a little bit more credit than what we actually are doing. Because here's what's running in the background is, what are we exposing ourselves to every single day that we don't think that our bodies believe is a stressor, managing everyone's schedules, the never ending to-do list, running a business, raising kids, keeping up with the household, taking care of parents or in-laws or both, the environmental toxins we're exposed to and we don't even really think about, the preservatives, the added sugars, sitting in front of screens and for hours in bodies that were literally designed to be in nature, never getting outside, never getting enough sunlight, never sitting in peace and quiet. We live in a fundamentally different world than our bodies were ever built for. And we have normalized so much of that we genuinely don't see stress as stress anymore. We think stress has to look like a crisis. It doesn't. It can look like a completely normal Tuesday. I'm not asking you to go live off the grid. I'm not asking you to overhaul your entire life. I'm just asking you to give your nervous system a little more credit than what you are, because it's carrying a lot more than what you realize. And when we can also see that maybe my nervous system needs a little bit more support than what I give it, we start to see a lot more opportunity to be able to care for our body as an entirely whole being. So let's move into this next part, because I don't want to just leave you with a bunch of information and then you're like, well, what the hell do I do with all of this? I want you to think about, what's one thing that I could do tomorrow? And if I was sitting across from you right now, this is exactly what I would tell you to do. One thing that you can start to do is to start to track your food. This isn't to restrict. This isn't to create more diet culture. This isn't to count calories or to punish yourself. This is to simply to get data. Because if we don't ever know what we're actually lacking in, how do we change that? So many times we think we're doing everything right. We're doing everything that we possibly can. But when we actually look at the data, we can see, oh, wow, yeah, I'm really under eating on protein. We can be like, oh, wow, I don't eat any folate. My fiber is 10 grams. I don't get any B vitamins in, or calcium or vitamin C. And you're not going to be deficient in all of these, but there's probably some markers that you're not regularly getting in. And you're probably not getting in a lot more than what you thought. And we find gaps in this immediately. And guess what? That gives us a solution to go after versus sitting around thinking, I'm so confused as to why nothing is working. Because many times we just grab a protein bar for breakfast and we think that that counts. And I get it. And sometimes I have protein bars too. And I don't say that you can never have a protein bar. But we have to remember, a protein bar from a laboratory is not giving your body the elements from nature that it was designed to run on. We can't expect our bodies to run the same from something from a lab versus something that nature gave us. And tracking actually helps us see that. It doesn't allow us to guess anymore. It doesn't allow us to assume, and it doesn't allow us to just hope for the best. It just creates a really clear pathway for us to go down. I want to give you an example, because I was at a baseball tournament a couple weekends ago. And everyone around me was standing, not everyone, but many people were standing in the concession line, getting hot dogs and nachos, whatever was there. And listen, I totally get supporting Parks and Rec and Little League Baseball and whatever the league is that we're supporting. I get that. I give them enough money by bringing my own foods. I had packed meals for myself and my family. It took me about a half hour the night before. And I'm standing there watching the line and thinking that person in the line is telling themselves that they don't have time to pack food. And what I know is that the information a hot dog gives your body is actually exhausting for it to process. Your body has to work really hard to deal with that versus spending a half an hour to give your body something it can actually use and getting hours of better energy, better digestion, better everything in return. We think that tracking food and meal prepping takes so much time, but that time pays you back so much more when you actually start to heal this. Can you find the efficiency? Because it really is there. It's so much more efficient to just take the time to track your food and to see where you're missing the gap and to meal prep and plan ahead. And beneath all of this is the mindset piece as well, because sometimes we think we're a victim to our day-to-day lives. Like our schedule just happens to us and there's nothing we can do. And that when we flip that, we can actually see how much power and choice we have in our days. Everything opens up to us because you're not stuck. You're not a victim to your schedule. You have more control than the world and diet culture ever let you believe. And it starts with data. So everything we talked about today, the hormones, the muscle, digestion, blood sugar, the nervous system, every single one of those root causes traces back to the same thing. Your body doing everything in its power to keep you safe. Your body's not your enemy. Your body is not broken. It's simply responding to an environment that does not feel safe yet. And the goal isn't to fight it, it's to actually change the environment. And I actually want to tell you about a 4-week challenge that is starting July 13 called the Midsummer Reset. This is coming in beautifully at a time that I know most of us are going to be walking around feeling very inflamed, very puffy, wondering why we feel like garbage in the middle of summer. Because after the 4th of July, I see women crash and burn all the time. We go heavy into June. We're like, go, 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 go. We're so excited that it's summertime. Our schedules are full. And then pretty soon we find ourselves grabbing whatever is convenient, going to bed late, waking up and skipping our workout, skipping meal prep, feeling tired, sluggish, all of those things. And so the Midsummer Reset is going to be 4 weeks of us working together, specifically towards a 2-week anti-inflammatory protocol, which is the protocol I use with almost all of my one-on-one clients when they have weight loss resistance. It works beautifully, and I would love to invite you to join me in the Midsummer Reset. We start July 13. July 20 is when we actually start the 2-week reset, and then we'll have a week afterwards together to reintegrate into normal life after our 2 weeks together. It'll be a full 4 weeks, but our 2 weeks of going heavy into the protocol. We'll be in a Facebook group, so you have accountability. We'll be running challenges. There will be prizes. You have everything in a guide for you. You also have a grocery list, just like everything that you need. That is a simple, easy to follow plan for 2 straight weeks. And this is one of the things that really helps shift somebody out of weight loss resistance. I use it time and time again. I've done it dozens of times myself. I have my friends do it. Like it works beautifully. And it comes at the most ideal time when I see that midlife women, especially moms, are just very inflamed at this time of year. So it is a perfect time. You can go to the show notes to sign up, or you can go to my website, melissaikewellness.com/summer reset to get started, and come back next week for the episode all about labs. I love talking about labs. I love talking about how useful they are. And I really think that you're going to get a whole lot out of that episode as to understanding how do I actually find the solution to my weight loss resistance problem. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you next week.